Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well. Welcome, guys, to another live play session of Shadow of Menzoberranzan. I'm here with Matt Trammell. Matt, how we living today, brother?
All good, all good.
Glad to hear that.
Enjoying
man.
the life.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, SoCal living.
Yeah.
Matt is a dear friend, but a very talented actor, voiceover artist, Los Angeles warrior, out here in the streets.
Heck, want to know.
Yeah. Just trying to grind, making an artistic dollar. But he has been joining me, essentially playing a one-on-one campaign where he plays Cierre, a drow spy that was actually originally created in a 3rd edition adventure book called The Silver Marches. Really compelling adventure book. Cierre essentially is sent from the Underdark, from the drow capital, Menzoberranzan, to go above ground, to spy upon the lurkers in the cities of Sundabar and Silvery Moon, to deduce what information she can about points of strength and potential areas of weakness, and return this information to the sort of heads of the drow militia and their plans to move forward in a violent coup towards equity, vengeance, in the return of drow to the majority of surface living. Gervach, good seeing you, man. Welcome for coming through. This might be a good one to scope, man. It's basically going to be, kind of a live play of actual D&D. This is the 4th installment. We've now done 3 of these, but Cierre essentially left Menzoberranzan at the behest of the sort of dreadlord, the Hell Mage Umbridge. She was sent to the city of Silvery Moon, where one of her co-conspirators and lovers, a man by the name of Baranchena, a very powerful mage in his own right, had been captured, taken well within the city, inside the actual Star Court and the High Palace, in the deep, many-leveled bellies of the jail within this complex. Part of her mission had been simply to return Baranchena if he was still alive. And the second was to set a almost disc-like, almost like a ruby-like gemstone that is an explosive charge within the city, trying to create some sort of either devastating damage or some sort of situation of distraction that would affect and perhaps create opportunity for the drought to move. So Cierre, you had a pretty successful session last time. I mean, you had, gone deep within the belly. You'd conned your way past pretty much everyone you'd spoken to. And as you sort of went within the lower level of the Starcourt jail, you did find that there was Baranchena there. He didn't immediately recognize you because of your disguise that you were wearing and are still wearing, that makes you look really just like a regular half-elf member of the Silver Guard. But you had freed him. You'd freed another member of the jail, a full-blooded orc, who had joined in your party. And now you guys had essentially taken the lift back to the surface level, back to where you guys had originally kind of broken out and initially moved in. So as you are listening to the pull of this lever system, the slow clinking of the gathering chains, bringing this 20 by 20 foot platform past the 2nd level and the 1st level, and now back to the actual surface. Is there anything you'd like to do? You have about 10-15 seconds before you break the level of the surface. You have next to you a very weary Baranchena, bruised. Yep. His normally dark skin is ashen. I mean, it's almost white. It's so sapped of energy and pigment.
Yeah. I know we managed. I totally forgot how we left off going up the chain elevator thing. I know we managed a short rest before we headed back to the surface here, and at that time, I think Baranchena at least recovered hit points during that short rest, and a number of spells. I don't know how much spell power Baranchena was able to recover.
And I think for intents and purposes, if we'd like, given the situation and the fact that this platform was at its lower level, you had dispersed or locked up anyone that was sort of a threat, which were numerous people within this sort of prison space. I think for intents and purposes, Cierre, we can actually sort of bring it back to the lower level of this dungeon. You know, the lift had been right here, and we can retcon that slightly.
Sure.
Because I want to establish a couple things. I mean, you hadn't seen Baron Chaina in, a number of weeks, but you also hadn't heard from him in days, which was unusual given the fact you guys have sending stones. And it's part of what had prompted Umbridge sending you to the surface in the first place. However, make either a history or an arcana check. And I will make one for Baron Chaina as well.
Oh man, a 3.
3.
Off to a great start.
He rolled a natural 18 for a 24.
Right. There we go.
And as Crusher is sort of, well, it is a time to make things right, to make things even. You see him sort of wielding this short sword in 2 hands, which doesn't do anything in terms of damage dice or upping it. But you see this full-blooded orc that has been a captive within this space for who knows how long, at minimum shares a similar kind of ilk and frustration to the denizens of Silvery Moon. He seems extremely happy to be freed, extremely happy to be armed. But as you're sort of, taking stock of Baron Chaina, you had spent this hour resting to a degree, but you'd also spend a little bit of time trying to investigate, not super successfully. And as you return now, you're of course worried about Baron Chaina, his state of affairs, how he is. You made a medicine check previous session and came to realize that he, is currently suffering 3 points of exhaustion. He is, hasn't slept in days, has more or less been kept captive. They know he's a mage. And as is customary in Faerun and anywhere on the Sword Coast, whenever you have a mage captive, you can't let them sleep. There's no ability to allow them to long rest because that's such a threat that empowers them so significantly. So he essentially lays out to you in sort of layman's terms that he has a 4th level spell, a 3rd level spell, 3 first levels, and 2 seconds. So basically, it's 3, 2, 1, 1, from level 1 all the way to level 4.
Yep. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 1.
He is, you know him to be, a bit. He considers himself a hell mage. He's not officially has that title because there can be only one at a time, and it's Umbridge. But he's, very much approximate to that kind of power. Typically, his spells are heavily evocative and heavily warlike, and as you guys are in the belly of this jail, you're about to head back, to the surface level of Silvery Moon. You are literally within the High Palace. I mean, you are less than 500 meters from the Star Court, from the actual seat of power in Silvery Moon. And you have known and felt that the wards that protect both the outer levels and the inner ward of Silvery Moon have significant and comprehensive effects. They alert the sort of watch and those attuned to the wards anytime there is a drow that enters, a fae, a fiend, an orc. But there's also almost like a limiter put on what spells can even be cast. And as you're sort of coming back and inquiring of Baron Chaina, how he is, what he's capable of as well. You see him sort of, assuring you through his own gritted teeth and his visible wounds. It is not impossible to cast in Silvery Moon, but it is different and difficult. Spells of evocation, spells with the death descriptor, scrying, invisibility, all impossible.
How does that? Do you think that'll affect the potion I handed you of invisibility,
No.
or is it?
It is a magical
Should be
item.
okay.
It is different. This is the casting of spells.
I see. So that's not available to us.
Well, it depends on the spell.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Some spells, but not you. I know you've in the past been able to conjure your own invisibility.
No,
that sounds like that.
It cannot be done here. No.
Okay.
It is a bitch. There are the tokens that essentially can attune oneself with the ward, but unless we somehow put our hands onto one, it would not be possible. You had searched the guards and not found anything that seemed that way, but you can make another check if you like.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
Sure. Make an investigation check.
No bonus on this. Oh, it's cocked. I'm gonna re-roll it.
Reroll it, baby boy. Reroll that ish.
So close to a nat 20. Instead, let's go with 2.
2. Gotcha. So
just
you
bump the table and taking my chances.
Well, you know that's what. Yeah, it's the price you pray for the bump.
Yeah.
Pray for the... God, it's already been such a long day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the teleportation
so
in and of itself, but the fact that on top of that, it's sort of like you are moving now with cargo. You are moving with a Baronchena that's at half speed and is so limited. As you go back through, you're almost frustrated that he would even bring it up. I mean, you've already kind of, tested some of these spots. You've already kind of checked them out. And you again find nothing. You pull back the actual things. You're looking for necklaces. You'd already checked the pouches. There's nothing there. So whenever you go back, that's again what you find.
Nothing.
It was just an idea. I know that the Inquisitor, he could cast spells, but perhaps it is something he's just attuned to. I wish I knew more. We won't have to learn about these wards whenever we rip them from the ground, Sherry. So that is an option as well. Simply remove that which limits us.
Yes. Sadly, I don't think we'll be able to accomplish that goal today. We may have to save it for another time. Because they've confiscated all of our explosive barrels.
What do you mean, explosive barrels? At this, the orc is sort of like all fucking ears. Explosive like a boom.
Yes, like boom. Like big boom, but they're far away. You have to get
boom.
there. Yes. We have to make it across the city to where we came from, to where I emerged from. We've got a bit of a distance.
Well,
I'm still disguised as a guard. Perhaps Barentain, I don't know if the wards will prevent you, but I know you've been able to magically change your appearance in the past. Do you think that's one that still be available to you with these wards?
Well, it is, I don't know. I have not tried, shit, maybe I should try it.
Transmutation sort of magic.
Yes, it is different. I have tried to scry here and been unsuccessful, and I know from experience that invisibility does not take. Disguise self, as you say, it is a different school of magic, a different
alter
breed.
self. Yeah.
I don't know the exact workings of your disguise kit, but perhaps you could change me that way. It is more old-fashioned,
Yes, I could.
Just a thought. How far do we have to make before we can leave the city? I would rather not tarry here than risk exposure.
A 30-minute cross across
Yeah, it was about 15, but I mean it was almost
15?
like getting out of the gates doesn't take more than about 5 minutes. I mean, you're inside this inner bailey. Whenever you had exited the actual kind of temple you were in, you'd gone outside. It was an enormous courtyard. You were basically in this plaza. It's not even fair to call it a courtyard. I mean, it was nearly a half mile long and stretching well across as well. And on the eastern side of that was the high steps leading into the actual Star Court. As you'd gone up, there'd been 2 guards there. You'd sort of chopped it up with them. They'd mentioned actually a dragon coming recently, an ancient copper spreading news of woe and then departing. And as you made your way in, they kind of pointed you towards the jail, which was a lift. As you had approached that lift, there was one guard standing kind of by a campfire, and no one else immediately within the vicinity. But there was an enormous amount of structures. There was another kind of very official-looking building. All of the spires and kind of tops of buildings and tops of the walls were extremely well decorated with these, merlins and these almost sort of protrusions of really calls to Maliki. I mean, unicorns and forest animals, but you didn't see many humans. But all that to say that it's probably 15, 20 minutes, and it's certainly not unoccupied in terms of your journey there.
And remind me, was it nighttime or daytime?
It's the dead of night. Yeah, it was middle of the night. You don't know the exact hour, but
right. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll say I do think we should avoid magical means because it's unreliable. We don't know what will and won't work. But we have them for desperate situations, of course.
Yeah, of course. That's right.
So I do like the idea of trying to disguise you as I have done myself. Perhaps as one of these guards. Perhaps as the guard that sit here before us here on the ground, dismembered. Was the first that I encountered as we entered these chambers.
But the one that you had most recently sort of let in and stabbed in the back?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The last one. We'll try and make Baron Chaina look like that guy.
Sure.
And then the orc, we'll find some manacles and see
Crimson, what's up, Brent?
See if our orc friend wants to play like our prisoner, like a prison transfer.
I see. It is whatever you would like it to be. I definitely have some experience in chains in these dungeons.
Yes, well, I can hold on to your favorite sword here for you, and we'll chain your hand behind your back, or at least make it look that way.
I don't like that as much as I like the idea of a full-on,
Gosh, but I guarantee there will be death to be had before we leave the city, but maybe not right at the beginning, because my friend here is weak, and I want to make sure that we get to the exit.
If it is a promise, then let it be so.
It is a promise. It is a promise, my friend. Death shall be had.
You see him take this very fucking seriously. He's sort of like, okay then. He offers you his wrists. If you're trying to sort of use the, you do have one guard that was stabbed in the back here in this chamber. There was another one that was killed quite bloodily in the sort of leisure room to the north. You can attempt to sort of use both on Baron Chaina and Crusher. I will say I was going to give you advantage just because of the fact that they are, uniforms that would suit the situation. However, they are horribly marred and bloodstained. So I think in this situation, to be honest, it almost would be a hindrance. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not positive the best way on that. You can just make a straight roll, and give me 1 second while I adjust this. Give me just a performance check, and you can add, give me just a straight either dexterity or charisma check, and then add your proficiency with your disguise kit. And I'm going to change this again.
I got a.
What'd you get?
Got a 14.
14, okay. We'll say that was for Crusher. Give me another roll for Baron Chaina.
It's better. That's going to be 19.
Okay. Okay. Very well.
Okay.
So what would you like to do, Cierre? You stand back, and it's kind of one of those things where you're like, It's sort of like when just like it's such a layered lie, you're not even really sure the move anymore. You know, it looks pretty good. Crusher doesn't make any sense at all to you. It's a full-blooded orc that you have essentially sort of, you know, kitted out at first, and then you've stripped it away and more or less tried to secure his hands and use that, right? And it's just not really working out as well as you would like.
Yeah. How about so I promised you death at the end, Crusher. But how about some death at the beginning?
That is just as good. It can be both ways.
If that's the case, then I think we should separate. Oh, no, we don't. That won't work.
One moment, hold on. My lighting is fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, tight. Sweet. I am back. Sorry.
Okay.
I feel like I look good. I feel like the hands and front with the wrapped. I mean, no one would believe I could bust out of these in a moment's notice and just take a life like it was a nothing.
I think it's not a permanent performance, but we just need like enough of a stall to get this guy that's right at the top. So I think he'll hesitate just long enough for you to crush his skull open, and you can take his coin. He has plenty of coin he was counting at the top, and it's all yours. But I'll let you take the first blow.
He looks at Baron Chaina with a bit of like, can you believe this, badge? Death and the coin for the people that have tried to take me from the torn skulls. I accept.
Do I know what the torn skulls are?
Torn skulls. Make a history check. Make it with advantage, given your situation. You absolutely do. You know who and what they are. They're a more or less a knot of orcs, a tribe that has dominated the northern stretch of the Silver Marches for many centuries.
History. Yeah, that's an 18.
18. So the Red Fangs and the Torn Skulls are really the two dominant orcs. The Green Fists were historically another member of kind of the north. They have since moved to the Evermoors, and that has sort of significantly shifted the power dynamic. Over the last about 300 years, probably the past like 5 or 6 generations within kind of the orc domain, the Torn Skulls have risen to dominance. And, you know, they historically have had a working relationship with some of the citadels of the north. More or less like a respect of trade routes, a respect of the High Forest and the Lurkwood being the purview of the orcs, vice versa. You know, orcish raids on one another is super common, and, you know, oftentimes a matter of sport just as much as it is a matter of like resource. That has shifted as the Torn Skulls have started to expand, have actually taken over some old forts and abandoned settlements. In some cases have non-violently taken over trade routes with the threat of violence, and it has created tension. And they're called the Torn Skulls because they will literally rip apart the body from the jaw. It's almost like a sort of almost like a war trophy of sorts, almost like the end of a victorious conflict is often punctuated by the Torn Skulls taking whatever leader or highest member and representing them in this way of disrespect.
Yeah, no, I get it. I saw prey. Okay, cool. So I'll say, I think you deserve the first kill above ground in honor of the Torn Skulls, and perhaps this will be the first day of a beautiful relationship between the Drow and the Torn Skulls and their glory.
He kind of steps into you. Are you being sincere right now, Cierre? Or are you trying to use him to make the first attack to give you and Baron Chaina
I think I'm being sincere, but with the caveat that I would turn on him in an instant, turn on all of the orcs in an instant. But I'm also thinking, like, maybe Umbridge would appreciate a temporary alliance between the Drow and the orcs in the north.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I'm playing that angle as like, maybe this could play out in the future someday. But for now, it's like, even short term, it's definitely helpful.
Copy that. So make a persuasion check.
But ultimate loyalty is definitely with the drow, of course.
Of course.
So that persuasion, I'm pretty good at that, I think. Oh, persuasion. It's 13. Probably should have tried to be more deceptive.
13.
It's 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So you sort of lay it out kind of plainly, and you feel the clumsiness a bit whenever you're essentially like, you take the first one. You see him sort of like take this kind of like, you've just tied me up. And he kind of steps forward, and as you explain the full breadth of your opinion, which is a large degree of potentially genuine mutual benefit, and expressing that to him, you see him smile. The torn skulls take whichever kill they prefer. But thank you, I will take this one too. As for you and your drow, we only hear stories, but it seems you hate the elves of Silvery Moon as much as I. That is a welcome. Any enemy of the feast is an enemy of Crusher. Come. You see him sort of start to set off to the west, and he starts walking towards the lift.
Great. And we'll all go. Yeah. And I'll tell Baron Shana to kind of chill out in the back corner of the lift, just behind us.
You don't need to tell me twice. He keeps like lingering his eyes on you, Cierre, and it's not unwelcome and it's not unusual at first, but especially even in this moment as the conversation is sort of drawn and now you guys are going on, you see him and he's sort of looking at you a little strangely, almost a little funny. I think with just resting inside, it's not hard in your relationship to notice that something's a little bit different. He looks away as soon as you kind of look back to him.
Is it a positive or a negative vibe of change, something different?
You voice this to him as you guys are sort of walking now 30 feet away. It is just odd to see you look like an elf, Cierre. It is strange. He sort of takes out and just like, almost like he's going to like smudge something, and just briefly drops from sort of cheek level to your hand and gives it a squeeze. And you guys step into this lift. And as you do, you come back and it's those similar kind of two wires. You begin to kind of twist one. You feel it kind of click. And as it does, you're not really sure what exactly the signal that's given up top. But in a matter of moments, the creaking of the gears rises back in. It's scraping, and it feels like it's almost gathering speed. There's this sense of uncertainty, the sense of the unknown, as now the three of you are leaving in your wake. I mean, this death, right? And this also sort of deceit and deception, and now trying to spill that again across the streets of Silvery Moon. Will it work a second time? There's also something that you're aware of within these wards, something that was shared. That people have access, they're called Vanguard spells, that they can almost access them within the wards of Silvery Moon as one would a spell slot or a magical item. It's near infinite. You also know that as a drow has stepped in, awareness has been alerted. You've now been down here about 2 hours. And in the city...
But we passed that off with some deception as like the real Sten was
for sure. Like that was absolutely answered and justified. The city was on, or the guards rather were on a bit of high alert, right? Yeah. But 100%. And Sten is now locked up in the jail that you're now leaving. Yeah. As you sort of crescendo up, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw and a charisma saving throw.
Holy crap.
And give me the wisdom first.
Wisdom is a dirty 20.
Okay.
And you said charisma?
Yes.
Charisma is not as good.
Baronchino burned through his. Yeah, what'd you get?
12 for charisma.
Okay. just below what you needed.
If any of these are charms, then I get advantage.
Neither of them are.
Okay.
However, as you crest up, and now shoo, 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 you feel the coolness of the night envelop you. You didn't realize how stuffy it was beneath the ground, 3 levels deep. I mean, you're about 50 meters below the earth. And you've always kind of preferred the dark Cierre, but your ability to kind of mold yourself into it. And you're greeted with light, with sort of bright shadow from this refreshed fire. You see rising from his resting place on one side of this wall in between a set of boxes is this high guard, this sort of fire-haired, freckled half-elf that you'd previously seen counting his coin. The wisdom save was for an antipathy and sympathy spell of the 8th level that prevails within the inner ward of Silvery Moon. You fear a pulse of fear. And for a brief second, the anxiety of the situation, the potential of the lies told and the lies to come threatens to overwhelm you. You feel your throat close in this cosmic bubble of anxiety. That you just fucking breathe and let go. You look over and Berncina is reaching for your shoulder as he too has succeeded on his wisdom save and felt this resting antipathy spell towards Drow leveled towards you. The weight of it passed over and moved beyond. As that's happening, you feel your mind almost like compressed. And as you're sort of looking forward, the eager, humble eyes of this high guardsman who's looking to you inquisitively, seeing 2 people by either side that hadn't descended with you, no one he recognizes. You feel the effects of a Zone of Truth spell. Tighten the constraints of your tongue. And as this is happening, oh no, fuck no, you hear Crusher having a panic attack behind you as he has failed his antipathy spell and begins to give way to the effects of fear. Berncina steps behind him, sensing what is going on, understanding the high-level magic and the ward's effects upon people, especially people with low resting wisdom. He steps in to kind of try to buy a moment, but you feel that Crusher has moments. He's starting to speak, he's starting to kind of step, and it's Berncina that is holding him back by the force of his will from bolting a direction. As that's happening, you see this red-haired high guardsman coming towards you. Hey. The hell you guys doing this? Why are you bringing so many with you? Whoa.
And I'm under zone of truth, so I can't lie, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You cannot tell a deliberate lie. What the hell's going on here?
Prison break!
Fuck! You see him pull out his short sword. Where the fuck's Brixton? Where's the Inquisitor? Where are they?
They're dead! They're dead! They're all dead!
The fuck happened? Hey! You see him start to project his voice with thaumaturgy towards a building to the northeast. This is a very kind of Corinthian columned. It looks almost like the Pantheon in either Rome or Paris, or fucking elsewhere. A very large building. You can see it's like structured and surrounded, but don't see people moving within it. However, his voice is voluminous, fills the night air, piercing through it. Guards! Guards! Sort of echoes and hangs. In this moment, you see Berncina trying to make a strength check against that of Crusher.
Which direction is Crusher trying to go? Because we're in the lift and can't go like...
No, you guys have now come to the surface level. You are at the ground level of the inner bailey of the High Palace.
Yeah.
You are, Cierre, about 180 feet to the northeast from where you entered, coming, relative to where you are now, coming from the west. I'm
gonna tell Berncina to let him go. Let him run.
No! You see Crusher sprint. He runs directly east, sprinting by. He is going to attempt to strength check these bonds. He fails to do so. He's like sort of wrestling against them, running with his hands bound in front of him. No. Fuck no! You see him sort of struggling to fight, his eyes wide. He stops. Not sure which way to go. I'm going to roll a scatter die to choose his direction as he was led in here as a prisoner and knows not which way to go. Shit, that's not the move. He keeps running east, past sort of the high kind of beginning of the high steps to the actual Star Court. He's running past the Star Court. There's a length of buildings you noticed when you came in. The courtyard is kind of would be considered low light just because of the arcane light that's strung in a situated sense to always give a limited aspect of visibility. You see him streaking now. He's about 100 feet away from you as he's used his action, his dash, and his bonus action to move about 120 feet.
What is the coin counter doing?
He,
in response to that,
with his resting initiative, sees a member of the Silver Guard that he doesn't know, and sees a high mage of the Drow, seeing through the disguise, but not through yours. He's like, the fuck. He's sort of trying to put two together. I rolled a 4, was going to give him plus his intelligence with a DC of 10 to put things together, but he's still fumbling to kind of put it all together. You see him looking to the northeast to this large kind of Pantheon-esque building, and make a perception check for me, Cierre.
Perception. I don't know where that is. I'm really good at that. 23.
Okay, you're looking for movement, and you move kind of in the 270 degrees that is available to you in terms of like you pivoting, not counting the area that's to your immediate kind of north, that's essentially just like wall. You look behind you, you see nothing. You look to the actual kind of breaks in these large Corinthian columns. You do not see movement. However, you see like corresponding dotting of shadows, as if like running towards this space, the length of them backlit, is some number of humanoid shapes. Again, that thing is about 120 feet away from you. About 180 feet away from you are the actual gaps in the steps to the High Court. This gentleman is looking as if he's looking for backup. Jesus Christ, yeah, he rolled a 9. You see him being like, how the fuck did they die? The fucking Inquisitor, how'd he die?
I killed him. And then
roll
initiative.
Roll initiative. Oh, I love it. Dude, I have not rolled above a 6. What is going on? Okay.
Good for me, because I keep hesitating. So I got a 6. I guess, am I rolling for Baron Shayna?
You know, I have played him, so I'll just play him, but you tell me what he does. How about?
Okay. Sure.
So
I rolled a 16.
You rolled a 16. Great.
For my initiative.
Okay. So. I'm gonna roll for Crusher just to see how he affects things. Okay, perfect. Cool. Okie dokie. So, before we get to you being a motherfucking boned, no, I do want to, again, just point out, like, obviously you let me know whatever it is that you think Baron Shayna wants to go. I guess I can hit you with his spells available to him. He's kind of, curious on that himself. He's sort of tweaking that out and trying to figure out what...
Right. What works, what doesn't.
Exactly.
I've got a list here, but like I said, I don't know which ones work. And I don't know if he knows which ones work.
So we will, just to kind of make this a little bit easier, let me bring up, this will just be kind of a stand-in because I didn't have an entire map. I wasn't sure where exactly we would go for this entire situation. But again, if you need a more specific layout, let me know. We will go here, and essentially, Cierre, you and Baron Shayna have come up from this lift. These squares are 10 feet. And you are more or less in the northeast corner over here. The green area is roughly where the beginning of these steps leading out to the actual plaza is, if that helps in terms of kind of grouping. But yeah.
Okay, so Baranchena has 3 points of exhaustion.
Correct.
At
So-
least one of those affects speed. Is that right?
His speed is halved.
Oh boy.
He essentially has disadvantage on ability checks, saves, and attacks. So his speed is 15 feet.
And do we know how that would affect him if he casts something like the fly spell, for instance? Does it make it whatever that would be, which is 60, turn it into half?
You have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
But maybe at least 30. Okay. All right.
You know what? No, I think you've been exhausted. It would half his speed. Like essentially his speed is halved regardless. He's like exhausted and taxed beyond measure. He has not slept. He's not really been hydrated. He's barely been kept alive so that he could then be tortured. So his existence has been pretty complicated.
Okay. This is going to be difficult. Let me read this real quick. What does
Sure.
this do? It doesn't help me right now. Okay. Yeah, we're just running. I'm gonna.
Well, no. It's excuse me. I
No.
misspoke because it is not even your turn.
Sure,
As
fair
you
enough.
see this sort of react, he pulls pulls out his short sword. As he does that, there's almost like a rhythm. As he sort of like the sword is still ringing, having left the scabbard. Whenever he takes 2 quick steps forward, and you see him level his blade towards Baranchena. He comes in and hits with a 16, holding this longsword in 2 hands. I said short sword earlier, but it was a longsword. It's almost like a curved, I hesitate to say katana because everybody freaks out, but it is a sort of almost like a saber. It is like a bowed length of sword. However, that's as bad as it gets for his damage rolls. He hits Baranchena for 40 points of
Good
slashing damage. 40, oh my god, 4. I totally misspoke. That would be insane. Okay, 40, you're up. Second attack. Yeah. No, he then essentially is going to backpedal and is going to cast a cantrip on you. Make a concentration save. As you feel cold and ice sort of threaten your neck and vital organs. The entire area around you, the temperature plummets.
An 11.
You fail. So you take 9 points of cold damage and have disadvantage on your next attack as the frostbite cantrip numbs your entire body. There's a brief moment where you're like, fuck! You can barely speak. You hear him, guards! Prison break! Code 746! You see him sort of yelling out across this inner bailey to presumably the steps of this pantheon. It is now your turn. He has moved closer to you and closed this space right here. And it is now your turn, Cierre, followed by Crusher and then Baranchena. So what's going down?
I'm gonna tell Baranchena. I'm just gonna say, B, we gotta go. Let's fly. And with a wink, like as if like get that fly motion on, so you can double your speed.
Okay. And you want him to
I'll just be like, let's run. Don't even engage. Just run.
because he could cast fly on himself.
That's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, copy. Great. Then he
Sorry,
shall
I was
do that.
trying to be a bit
No,
obtuse there.
I like sick stuff. I just wanted to make sure you knew because I it sounds like you're taking your potion and he's taking his. I didn't know if he was just having the fly potion.
I do not have a fly
Oh,
potion.
you
'cause
consumed
I-
it to get out of the
I
puzzle
consumed
trap.
mine.
I feel like a bad.
Yep.
Well, sorry, dude. My
No,
whole game
it's
is
okay,
resource
it's okay.
drained. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, very well. That happens. You see him prepare this fly spell. He sort of brings
Great.
his hand close to himself. You see him grab at his waist, thinking that he has something that he needs, but doesn't have it.
Okay.
So he will do that on his turn. Attempt to.
I am going to. Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna cast as a bonus action first strike. On
First strike,
myself.
6. So that gives you advantage, correct?
Yes, and because I have disadvantage, I assume that's a straight roll.
Okay. It is correct.
Cool.
Well assumed.
And then let me mark that spell off. Boom. Okay. And then yeah, I'm gonna attack with my short sword here.
Cool. Okie doke.
Straight roll, 23.
23 hits.
Cool. And this guy hasn't taken damage yet.
Correct.
And but he is Berenstain is adjacent still, right? So I'll get that sneak attack.
I would say so. I would say so. I've brought up this moon bridge because I don't think we need that map specifically.
Okay.
I mean, like you know, we will reference it.
I don't think we need it.
Yeah, totally.
We're running.
Yeah, exactly. Like as needed. It will come into play. I will reference it to be able to kind of drop people on and off, but just in the interstitial. Yeah, you guys are all within about 5 feet of each other. Triangulated, an equilateral three-sided triangle.
Oops.
The legs are 5 feet, guys. Don't make me say it.
That doesn't apply. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 points of damage.
25 points of damage to Harry. Dude, you know this guy has had... I mean, he was trying to make rent. He was counting his coins, Cierre, and you come in. You truly are an evil-aligned character. Okay, so you come in. I assume this is with the short sword. You just drive it through. As he is, like, seeing the cold gather around you, you see him kind of relax. He's like, all right, I got one. I got the other one. Oh, shit! You kind of step through, catching underneath the half plate and driving the short sword. About 2-3 inches in, you think you might have punctured a lung as he sort of brings up his own hand to kind of stop it and create distance. But holy shit, that could have dropped him right there.
Well, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't even see...
Maybe he should have done 40 points of damage.
The Zephyr Strike gives me an extra 1d8.
Oh!
Which of force damage. I didn't
now,
even see that.
First strike is a bonus action, correct?
No. The bonus action was Zephyr Strike.
Okay, so Zephyr Strike gave
that.
you advantage. Okay, got it. So, do you have
Gave me advantage on an attack.
But then did you also cast First Strike?
First Strike?
Oh, did you only cast Zephyr
is.
Strike? Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Just Zephyr Strike. I'm not sure what First
Okay, perfect. No, neither am I. Neither am I. It doesn't exist.
But I didn't include my 1d8 of force damage.
Well, roll it up.
Zephyr
This guy's
Strike
still
apparently.
upright. You do see Harry has taken this. I mean, clearly he's hoping for backup. His eyes are wide. He is taking a significant amount of damage on the opening exchange.
That is 6 more.
6 more. Okay.
Of force. Yeah.
He almost goes back to a knee. His hand kind of goes up. Who the fuck are you? His eyes wide and then back to you. He knows exactly who Berenstain is and is now like terrified of this half-elf wearing the half plate of the Knights in Silver that has just fucking opened him up. Okay, anything else you'd like to do, Cierre?
Am I still under zone of truth?
It is a pervasive, yes, until 15 minutes where you get to attempt another save, yes.
I am Cierre of the Drow, and I'm also your executioner. And then I'm gonna take my second attack.
Okay, go for it. Does this also have attack?
This one. Sorry.
Does this also have attack or no?
This is an attack. Yeah. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, because Zephyr Strike gave you advantage. Was that just on the first attack?
Yeah, it gives me advantage on one weapon attack.
Copy.
So
Okay,
I won't have
you
advantage on
canceled
this.
out the disadvantage. Cool. Okay, so roll a straight roll.
The chill thing remains.
No, the frostbite was just for your next attack. So straight roll.
Just for the next.
Yeah.
So another straight roll. 21.
21 definitely hits. As you're sort of striking into him, you see, and go ahead and roll damage. You see Berenstain begin to start to cast this fly spell on himself. And let me just double check. He's like, fuck. Oh, no. My components. My focus. He reaches and tears off one of the feather quills that is used for the fletching on one of your arrows. Mark one of your arrows unusable. However, he does have a wing feather from any bird, and he begins to cast his spell of fly. As that's happening, he will use his final remaining 3rd level. Give me the damage.
13.
Ooh. So what does this look like, Cierre? As you've just driven this short sword into the half plate, you draw it back. You see him backpedaling, and what happens
Yeah, the
next?
next one. If it ends him, it's going through his throat to end that thaumaturgy yelling that he's doing.
It's 6 to 12. You kebab him. You see the breath ragged, caught in these 2 rivets of blood spilling over his lower jaws and teeth. You see his eyes, still full of light, drift to you, shift and expire. You pull forward and leave him spouting blood on the stones beneath him, feet from this fire. As you turn and start to run, You see these shadows stretching and lengthening as the humanoids get further away from whatever light source they have been running from within this pantheon-like structure. With your resting passive perception, which is like 58, you can see obviously that this is gathering and that they're running away. You do not see human figures. You have 120-foot dark vision. The edge of this is 120 feet away. You do not yet see humanoids. However, Baron finishes his spell, barely. He does not have his components, nor does he have his focus. He does, however, have a way to cast this fly spell, and does so on himself. That is his action. He will use his full movement, which is now 30 feet. And I'll bring back up the battle map just to give us a sense of it. And apologies, I didn't know how this was going to go out, so I didn't want to prepare 50 maps. But we'll drop down to the very bottom of this, where we have this thing sort of cheated out. And Baron will go 60 feet. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Beep. About here is the edges of this pantheon, which is gigantic. Schwink. And it is ridged with crescents, with stars to both Saloon and Maliki. Thus, the High Palace and the Star Court itself. That is going to be his turn. However, as this is happening...
I had movement from my turn.
Please, so sorry, go for it.
I wanted to run. Oh, good. So Zephyr Strike gives me an extra 30 feet of movement. I used my bonus action, so I will be dashing with that. But I will, and I use my action, so it's only my movement, but I get 60 feet total on this turn.
Amazing. How cool with Zephyr Strike. So you're able to basically run up next to and beneath, as you know, he's starting to raise up about 5-6 feet off the ground, more concerned with horizontal distance than altitude. So as that happens, and as Harry won't ever make rent, and as Crusher won't ever get his coins, you do see this orc, just high fucking tailing it. He is ripping across. No, the Torn Skulls, why? You see him trying again to make a strength check. He's going to do so and succeed. Breaking free, but almost forgetting that he even has a short sword, as the throes of this antipathy spell is absolutely corrupting and twisting his mind. Around this same time, and quite fortuitously, is the phalanx of Knights of the High Guard, of High Court guards. As they sort of come out of this space, and I shrink down the miniature to impossible size. They're all gnomes. They're all gnomes, but you see 8 of these individuals come out.
Oh, Jesus.
And this is how you know, guys. I do almost want to screen share, because all I had cheated was the numbers and the action. I wasn't going to lay anything out. Because I didn't know if you would just sneak attack, kill one person, sneak out.
Yeah, no.
I'm all about both.
Tried a deception.
Now listen.
Didn't work out this time.
As they roll out, you see them fill this space. I'm only going to represent one of them at the time. Come in, see Crusher, and react. They all twist, falling in line, moving in unison. Each of them, you assume at minimum, also being 4th level blade singing members of the High Guard. As they're sort of moving out, you see one of them kind of gesture and send them this direction. However, they are sort of concerned and moving towards Crusher, who right now is losing his goddamn mind. One of them is going to, in tandem, you see there's these 2 pops, as sort of arcing over and towards come these prisms, almost like fireworks, sparklers that shoot out and then dazzle in this almost, the entire spectrum of color. You see yellows, purples, reds, primaries, secondaries, this sort of bursts and pops of a sleep spell. 2 of them, in fact.
Shit.
Because they were casting this in tandem, one after the other, I'm just going to roll 10d8.
Cool.
Wow. Holy shit. That's so crazy.
Is this being cast on the orc or on us?
On the orc. But with his short rest, he has 51 hit points. So it does not succeed with the 45. You know what? I'm going to give them I only had 2 of them go at once. That's fine. You see, as that happens, there's like, fuck, it didn't take. There's 2 pops. Pew, pew, as these other knights in silver pop off. There's, you see these huge rays of light, and now understand why these guards kind of split their position. As piercing through, streaking from the hand of one and then the other, come 2 beams of what appear to be scorching hot light. Wow. Okay. He gets hit by both. He takes 22 points of damage. You see Crusher. He will make another wisdom save. And fail the fuck out of it. You see him. No. I mean, even from here, this is a man that was craving death and is backpedaling, unsure of which direction will lead him to safety. He seems beside himself, as if his wits have been stripped. I will not lie to you, Matt. I was very afraid that all 3 of you would fail this huge 8th level, ward spell of Silvery Moon. But I was interested to see. Yeah. So anyway, so Crusher again fails it. However, he does take an enormous amount of damage and is still upright. It is now back to the top of the round. Harry's dead as fuck. What would you like to do, Cierre? Baron Chena will be acting after you. Both of you are now streaking towards, towards the this sort of gap in the actual steps themselves.
While he's still flying next to me about head level, I'm gonna pull out the vial of invulnerability and just say, like, take this if you fall, and stay. But in the meantime, stay out of sword range.
Okay.
So let it fly up like a couple extra feet.
He takes it, and then he starts to sort of gain a little pitch, a little bit of altitude. You guys both know that in this world, a potion is a bonus action. He hears you, and you're not sure if he knows what the fuck a potion of invulnerability is, but you assume he does. He's a fucking high-level magic wielder.
Sure.
So we'll say that's a free action. That's you more or less like...
Okay. Pass it off.
Well, passing something off. I'm going to say that's your bonus action, to be honest. Because it's a vital moment. You're handing it off to him. Yeah. But you still have your action and movement.
Action and movement? If I can, I'm just going to yell prison break at the guys that are approaching us. And point at the orc, because that's still Zone of Truth through.
Yes.
And then I'm going to take my action and movement to dash. It's no longer 60 feet. I'm back down to 30, so it'll be 60 feet total.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay. Amazing.
And then Baron Chena should stay in stride because of exhaustion at 60 feet
Give me either a deception or persuasion check at disadvantage.
Okay. At disadvantage. 14.
14. Okay. Wow.
Deception.
The DC was 14. As he's running towards you in the half light, you see this guy like absolutely, confused. You see guards. You see him seeing you running presumably the same direction, wearing the Knights in Silver. Your perception check resting deception was a 24. Whenever you'd first laid on this sort of disguise yourself. It was also much higher with Baron Chena. You see him sort of nod and look back, beginning to kind of gather a spell in his own hand and presumably directing it. However, coming behind him is the higher ranking officer. So that's going to be his turn. Baron Chena is going to use his action and his dash to sort of join you. He is a little bit behind because he's going higher. He's now about 12 feet above the ground. You guys are both getting to this area. That's going to be his bonus. That's going to be his action. He's not going to use a bonus action. He's just barreling. You see him like quite concerned, also feeling that zone of truth. These individuals, one of them is kind of heading back. You see, however, all of these guys gather themselves, and now 4 people are going to expend second level spell slots and attempt to roll 20 d8.
Holy shit.
To see if they can bring down... You know what? They don't even need to roll this many. They already heard him. But whatever. They're blasting. You guys are like in the seat of power of Silvery Moon, bro. They got spell slots. That's 95, dog. That's 92. Very well. Very well. Very well.
Damn.
However, you see perhaps a welcome rest come to Crusher. Oh no! I will not. Bala, I failed you. I have failed you. He crumples onto the ground, unconscious. As this happens, this has been the turn of 4 people. He is asleep. These 2 guards did not use their spell slots. Get sent this way to confirm. They're now sort of like seeing you in full sprint and sort of call out like, you know, what happened here? What happened here? Report yourself. You see them like not having 120 feet of dark vision. The ranking officer is sort of behind them. And there is a bit of general confusion as they've just heard the calls of a man they know, albeit like a sourpuss and a bit of a Debbie Downer, but they knew Harry. And whenever they hear him calling for guards of any kind, I mean, there was an immediate reaction. I mean, again, you are within the Star Court of Silvery Moon. I mean, this is the absolute kind of, center point, regardless of it being the middle of night or not. So as they're spilling out and kind of reacting to the situation, you see them unsure of why and what you're doing. However, it is your turn. So, Cierre, what are you doing, followed by Baron Chaina? You are, about 5, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You're about 60 feet from the beginning of what you know to be about 80 feet of steps that descend down to this plaza. And then a enormous, plaza beyond that.
Is it 80 feet in length down the steps, or is it 80 feet wide?
It's in length.
In length. What's the width of these steps? Like, how wide is
it does taper, but it goes from about 30 feet to about 40. Yeah. It's a little bit disproportionate on this map. But.
Yeah, sure. Read this. How much does this cover? Ooh, not enough. Okay. So we're gonna go. We're just not even gonna respond at this point and just run.
Let's go.
I'll go. Man, I don't want to leave. You know what? Okay. So I'll let Baron Chaina go the full movement and dash toward these steps. I'm gonna go bonus action dash, movement full, and hold my action.
You can feel some of these footsteps starting to gather and beat behind you.
Yep. These are 10-foot squares, so that doesn't do much. Okay. Yeah, we're just running. So I'll hold my action for if I see someone. Damn. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take my 60 feet. This is going to be stupid.
No.
And I'm going to.
It's already great.
I'm going to aim my longbow and try to do minimal damage and hit the orc, hoping he wakes up.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know how much I can do minimal damage, but we'll see. I know he's already had damage done.
That's funny. That's funny as fuck. Interesting.
Maybe I'll yell out like.
Interesting. Okay, so it is a ranged attack. He is prone, so it would be a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're extremely skilled. I mean, you're capable of sneak attacks, so I think you can pull back on this as well. If you successfully hit, I'll say you can do half damage of whatever you roll. So go ahead and roll the hit at disadvantage.
Okay, that's a 19.
Okay, that hits. You try to catch it, and as soon as it leaves you, you're like, oh shit, that's like neck or chest. And indeed it is. But it's a little bit beyond the clavicle. It's one of those things that sort of hits in an angle enough in his armor that he's still wearing, and which is minimal. It's more just skin and adroitness. Doesn't appear to do too much damage. However, I believe that's a 1d6. Is it a light crossbow?
No, it's a longbow, so it's a 1d8.
Oh, longbow, 1d8, 100%. So roll the damage, add your proficiency, and then have it.
Okay, and so I'm not adding my specialty things, my extra
Correct.
+2 to humanoids
Correct.
and Colossus.
That is part of pulling back. I feel like consciously.
I see.
You know what I mean? That's my
Then in that
ruling on
case-
that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I got a 10 total. So half of that would be 5.
Okay. Okay, not insignificant, baby boy. Cool. So reduced to 5. Cool. Okay, very well.
Yeah.
He wakes up, and he will immediately make another wisdom save on his turn. It is okay. So you do that movement bonus action.
Yeah. And so my 60 feet should have been 60 feet total movement to, I guess, play near those steps.
Got you. And just so you know, I mean, you can, cunning action. Oh, I guess you don't want to leave Baron Shada.
No, yeah. Got you. I didn't want to get too far ahead. I know Baron Chana can only do 60 feet because he doesn't have a bonus action move.
No, 100%. So. He is going to simply flee.
Yep.
Hey, turn back! Who are you? You see them, so sort of murmurs of talk behind them. Go after them, fucking go then. You see the thunder of people now dashing, running after you.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are sort of, almost in sort of a similar kind of space. Some of them are pulling back now that this guy is awake. You see them sort of like frustrated and like, fucking hey, come around and sort of hands up. It is technically, because you just went on your turn, it's technically Crusher's turn first. So I will give them their movement in terms of reaction. Let's go. 16 plus nothing. You see him come back. Taste the blade over the torn skull. He comes in and is going to make 2 attacks reckless. He just sees a reaction. He's been in here for God knows how long. Jesus, a 3 and a 2. Come on, Crusher. He misses with both. As that's happening, it's sort of parried away simply by almost like a mage hand. Like there's almost like a pivot of energy as they step away, and these sort of arcane guards are able to sort of handle this situation. He avoids the first attack. However, the second is much better. He does hit. This is unfortunately just a short sword. However, that's a 6, baby boy. He is going to be able to add either strength or dex, so he adds his strength, which is sizable. It does 10 points of damage. You see this one guard essentially take 10 hit points. He then sort of looks back, sees you behind. Fuck. And just sprints. He's going to provoke an opportunity attack. 20, 30, 40. 50. Excuse me, 40 is as far as he can go. He is going to prompt an opportunity attack from this guard who misses with a 10. You see Crusher like, not without me! Aspetta me! He sort of heads that direction, and there's an absolute ripple, a conscious ripple of confusion as they've gone from like potential guard to why the fuck to awake to now this person is running to join these other essentially unidentified people that are somehow within the lip of the Star Court. As you guys head to this area, you see at the base, the very bottom of this, the very 2 members that had kind of shot the shit with you at the very top of last episode. They'd spoken with you about the messages that had been brought and sort of levied by the Copper Jester, by this ancient copper dragon that had descended on the city of Silvery Moon and flown from spire to crag, rooftop to rooftop. I mean, imposing his frightful presence upon the citizens of Silvery Moon, but also spreading a frightful message that the peace of the wild had broken, that the world of itself had snapped asunder. But now these guardsmen are heading up the steps. Slowly, you see them kind of like looking and see you, Cierre, someone they recognize, sprinting with what appears to be like an elven humanoid flying above you. It's not uncommon to see members and people in this area, the eastern side of the city in particular, flying. I'm not sure if you know that, but whatever.
Sure.
However, as that happens, it is your turn.
And they're at the bottom of the steps. They're coming up these steps, so
They're
they
about
can't
80 feet away.
necessarily see they can't necessarily see what's going on up
That's
at the
absolutely
level, is that
correct.
right? All right, I'm gonna yell out to them as I head their way, just like, all hands on deck, and point behind me. The dragon's back! The dragon's back!
Okay. Because of the distance, I will remove any potential disadvantage. Because the resting passive perception is high enough to perceive a 14. So I will take him out of the equation.
Okay.
You know what? No, I can't really do that because you're 60 feet away. They have that in dark vision. However, they do have
you're saying they're seeing through the disguise of Baron-Chana?
They're just confused by it. They're not sure what it is. It looks weird. However, they know you and would give you advantage on this because of the circumstances. You came in with a drow. It was like, holy shit, like you caught one. Oh, fuck, good job. You brought it in. Yeah. And now as you're sprinting, talking about a jailbreak, talking about some sort of chaos, they're certainly listening. So give me a straight persuasion roll.
Persuasion.
Give me the language you used.
The dragon's back. And just
that's a deception. That's a deception that I don't think you're capable of.
Oh, okay.
Because you're still within the zone of truth for the next 15 minutes.
You're right. You're right.
You have failed this prevailing spell within the inner ward of Silvery Moon. Inner ward of Silvery Moon's a bitch.
Yeah, my bad. I totally forgot about the thing. So I'll just does the zone of truth like affect like my actions? Like if I'm pointing off towards
Not in the slightest. It
like,
just affects your ability to speak lies. Speak untruths. Correct.
So I'll just say prison break instead. Yeah, prison break.
Okay.
All hands on deck.
Got it.
Okay. And so this is a straight roll of deception?
Yes.
Or persuasion?
Honestly, whichever you prefer. Given what the situation is, that's not a lie, so it's not technically deception. You are walking.
Persuasion. I mean, just because it's I'm in the zone of truth and stuff.
Sure.
So, I got a 7.
A 7. Okay. Awful.
Yeah.
So as you yell, what would you like to do? It is your turn, so you make that.
I'm going to take my full movement and a dash straight towards him.
Okay, cool. So as I said, it's about 80 feet to the bottom of this with 60 feet of movement. Oh, are you going 90 now? Or are you going 60?
No, but I'm going 60.
Cool. So that essentially happens, right? As you see them kind of starting to head up, they're like walking. Excuse me. As you kind of get closer, they're breaking into a jog now. Because they hear like it's a scene that doesn't make sense, and I think part of it was maybe Frontin not recognizing you, perhaps seeing now behind you this flying figure that is somebody that is in like bloody something. There's aspects of the disguise kit that they aren't buying, and now as he sort of moves in, and Baron-Chana takes his turn to now fly more or less above you. He's now about 20 feet off the ground, but flying more or less like directly above you, more or less, moving 60 feet. You see them kind of jogging up. What the hell you going on? A jailbreak? Jailbreak? Who's that? Sort of motions behind you. Yeah, the fuckers at the one. Is they? Shit. You see them kind of now moving to like a jog right up to this situation, seeing nothing behind you, however. Ooh, just enough. As a breathless and panting Crusher starts ascending. Not now. Not today, you silver of fox! He starts running down the steps. He's looking a bit ragged. He's been in here for about 2 months. However, as he's sort of sprinting past this place, damn, sucks only have 60 feet of movement. So none of these are able to make it. They are essentially like, I mean, you can presume what you want to presume, Cierre, but things are happening. People are running after you, however, you do not see them visually break over this area. As this is happening, these people that are moving towards you now see this, and they're going to stay more or less like, hold up, hey, wait, easy there, hold up now, and start to move in. You can see them like physically bracing to stop you. It is your turn. You're not sure what they did on their turn, but you see them bracing against you.
Cool. I'm gonna say,
One more.
yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
All good. I'm gonna say, no time. There are others who have escaped. Gotta catch them all. And just run right by them, right in between both of them.
Okay. So they are both holding a grapple action. So as you spring by.
Does that count as an opportunity? Oh, they're holding an action.
Correct.
So that's not an opportunity attack.
Correct. They're holding the action to stop you and grapple you.
So, okay. I haven't been taking my actions on these.
You can 100% take a dodge if you want.
I might take a dodge.
Sure.
Yeah,
That will, of course, be your action, right? But you can still use your cunning action to go 60 feet. Very well. So you take the dodge action, which gives attacks disadvantage. I was going to roll 2 die, because they are essentially both attacking to try to grapple you at the same time. I will now just roll 1. But give me either an acrobatics or athletics check.
Okay.
Ooh, natural 17 for 21.
Ooh, natural 19 for 27.
What?
Acrobatics.
You have just been mopping the Knights in Silver in one of my favorite towns.
Finally had a good roll.
In all of Faerun. Hey, I'm happy for it, bro. I love when you succeed. You can see them flummox, and there's that moment of like, you go! No, you fucking go! Yeah! They sort of react, and as they sort of start to sort of lunge, it's a second too late. As they kind of go through, they don't do like the Stooges collide because they were very fucking close, but they go through, and there's a moment of hesitation where instead of cutting you off and like blocking and grabbing, they instead both go for appendages, grabbing at biceps, wrists. You rip through, not giving a moment, and as soon as you are there, have pressed through, like a linebacker through the hole. You have 60 feet of movement. For intents and purposes, you are essentially now moving into what is like this eastern plaza in the city of Silvery Moon. I think it's a little bit easier to just bring this up. I don't think we necessarily need to use this as a battle map.
Sure. I do want to point out for the fun of it that those two dudes still technically could get opportunity attacks if it weren't for my Zephyr Strike still being concentrated on, which does not allow opportunity attacks.
That's a 6 strike. I didn't know it went on for a minute like that. So it just like gives you advantage and then continues with opportunity.
Until the spell ends, concentration up to a minute.
That's a very little nifty ranger spell. I feel like rangers don't get enough cred for being able to kind of zip, zap, zap. Like move the fuck around. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
And I should have said this explicitly, but Cierre is now a level 10, correct? 11?
11.
A level 11 multiclass ranger rogue. Yeah, yes. If I had the capabilities, I would make better kind of layouts. But nonetheless, you have just left here. Have left this area, more or less kind of in front of 1516. This is kind of the area of the High Court. Where the Temple of the Silvery Stars was that you had entered, kind of in the access point that had led deep into the Underdark, was located here. Crossing this stretch is like about, I mean, it's enormous. It would, like, let's say it would take you essentially 10 turns to cross that. It's a little bit more than that. It's probably closer to 1,200 feet.
Are there, like, in this stretch of expansive space, are there, like, statues or shrubberies and little things to kind of...
There is an enormous statue, enormous kind of like fountain structure that goes up into a sequence of half moons and crescents. It's almost like bits of the water coming out are designed either with, simple kind of mage hand and some sort of cantrip usage, but almost like sparkle like they would falling stars. It also gives off low light, more or less where the area is in 17. There's more stuff to the north that are essentially like runs of statues, but this area to the south is largely open. I mean, you do see areas where there are kind of grooves in the stone, almost like areas to give way to flagpoles, to give way to consistent kind of tent pole structures that might pop up and be descended. But whether it's the season or whether it's the time of day, this enormous plaza is largely empty. And it's really just to give size and scope to the eastern edge of the city, which is the High Palace, the Star Court, these enormous vaulting castles and keeps with their kind of twisting, promenades and this enormously elegant facade. So I would say once you get to the 17, which is, as we would say, about 500 feet, maybe 5 turns, less than that, there would be an area for half cover. For intents and purposes, I'm going to treat this like a skills check because you are coming back from this area. So you guys will be taking your turn to try to determine whether or not you give advantage or disadvantage on some of the spells that will be incoming to try to dissuade you. Okay, so you ready for that? Anything you want to do? I'll give you more or less the top of the round now. As you guys are sort of trying to sprint across this area, trying to get to the Temple of the Silver Stars to get back into this area of the Underdark. So anything you want to do? It's essentially your turn going first.
Sure. I think we're just both gonna move and dash, and then I'll start taking the dodge action every go because I don't know why I wasn't doing that sooner.
Is your AC higher than 14?
Yes.
Okay, they take their opportunity attacks as you go by. They find nothing.
Cool. Except, opportunity attacks. I've got that Zephyr Strike. So.
Oh, you can't even do it. Oh my God, crazy, crazy. Okay, very well. Very well.
Or at least until that spell ends. I mean, it lasts a minute. I'm concentrating.
Got you. No, that's totally fine. I'm with that. It has been...
Wait, I did take damage. When did I take damage? Because I didn't make a concentration.
Oh, yeah. Then 100% make a con save. It will also fall out here in about 4 turns.
Okay.
Or I guess 5 turns.
So
You lost it?
No, I got it.
You got it. Okay, so you have
14.
it for 5 more turns. I believe it's been 5 turns since you came up and cast it.
Okay.
So the first turn is you guys. You move your full action, your dash. As this happens, you see... as there's these sort of beams of light behind you and Baron Chaina.
I'm dodging.
Sure.
Baron Chaina's not, but I am.
Baron Chaina, 1 hits him.
Ooh.
Damn. He makes his concentration save. However, he is going to take, 16 points of fire damage as you see almost like this lightsaber extended hundreds of feet, piercing through with this lavic-like force. That is, that was not good. He takes that, maintains concentration, and starts to take the dodge action himself. You guys are now he's taking the dodge action on this turn. Or you know what, fuck, because that would take away his action, his movement. So he's going to continue to go. He will look backwards.
Can I yell at him since it's his turn?
Sure.
Can I yell at him wait, is the invulnerability potion, is that concentration?
No.
Also?
No. It's simply something that takes a magical effect. Yeah. A potion of fly would be because of how complicated it is, but potion of invulnerability.
But invulnerability, I don't know much about that spell.
It essentially gives half damage. Invulnerability is a little bit misleading because you can still take damage, but a potion of invulnerability for 1 minute gives you essentially resistance to all damage. So he will do that.
Okay.
He'll take his bonus action, crack it, drink it. It's a thin, almost metallic vial. You see him sort of take it down. He sort of throws it to the side. You can hear this as this sort of thin crystal kind of shatters. It might sound crazy, but shit. Do you have any nutshells? Like a pecan or a pistachio? It's fucking wild. I know. And you can use your reaction to respond.
Don't think I do.
Fuck.
I don't think I do.
Man, never before in his life has my boy needed a fucking pecan spell. I mean, not a pecan spell, a shell to cast a pecan. He doesn't have it. He can't do it. You see him trying to move on.
I do have trail rations, supposedly.
I'll let you roll a d20, and if it's an 18 or higher, I will say that there is potentially scraps of shells, so you can use your action finding. However, dude, they're
natural 20!
Let's fucking go!
Never needed it more.
Let's go! Okay, so you can use your action if you'd like to take this thing out and just pull some out. You're losing ration. I mean, mark two uses of ration. You're just pulling them out. Haphazardly, right? Looking, dropping. Fuck! You find one that is literally like a half done, opened up fucking pecan. You see, it's almost like it's been half cracked, but not fully. You grab one, you hang on to it, you're looking for more, and you're not sure if it was left this way just to preserve it, because once the meat is out of the shell, the nut doesn't last as long. You don't really care in this moment. You crack into this thing, you grab it, and if you'd like, you can use your next...
I'll give it to him.
Okay, cool. Well, he's now 40 feet above you.
Oh. I could.
So let's say
throw
that's
in
your action. You can hold your bonus action. He will see this. He sees you rooping die. He uses his action movement that gives him 60 feet. So he'll come down. When we're let's say this takes a turn, it is effectual because now instead of these people being trailing either about 40 feet or 90 feet, they're now moving much closer. You see the people that had passed by not having the full movement, but they're close. They now go from about 40 feet to 30 feet away. He does, however, get these nut shells, which have never mattered to him more in his life. It is now your turn again. You're sort of waiting to see what he's going to do. He used his last 20 feet to go back up to get a little bit of altitude. He turns back. He's like, let's just fucking see. Let's see what fucking happens. He extends his hand and is going to cast Confusion on essentially all 8 of these trailing members of the High Guard, of the Spell Guard. Holy shit! 2 2s. I'm rolling essentially in pairs, okay? So I'm gonna roll for two more times to determine a total of 4 rolls for 8 of these NPCs, not counting the ones that were at the base of the steps who are unaffected by this spell because of its radius. Holy shit, and 2 11s. That is fucking insane. It's a wisdom saving throw. They each have +5, which brings it to a 16. Baron Chaina's DC is a 17. All 8 of these people fell. You can see he's like, fuck yes, you fucking impossible little bitches. You fucking bitches, we got them. You see them, however, like, for a brief moment, the 2 people that you had passed by that tried to grapple you are unaffected by this spell. We're not even attempted by it. Holy shit, I can't believe that. So you guys are now streaking across this. You have about 3 turns to go before you get to the statue that marks the halfway point. It is your turn, Cierre.
I mean, so yeah, let's just keep going.
Okay. So I'm
gonna do all 3 this time and get a little ahead of Baroncina, 30 feet ahead. So I'm gonna dash, bonus action dash, and movement run.
Copy.
I'll start pulling a little ahead. I want to get to that fountain first, and I may hide once I get.
Okay. Copy that. So I think it would be helpful. Let me just go ahead and drop this in as just reference points. You see, this one will constitute this group of 8 that is confused.
Okay.
You then have these 2 members of not the High Guard, but the Knights in Silver that are still pursuing. They're now about 20 feet behind you, right?
Okay.
Let me just drop this even lower. Beep, beep, beep. Cool. Oh, cool. Hard to move whenever they're that small. Ah, copy. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Cierre, you are now about here. Everyone's gigantic. Apologies again. This map is just more meant for reference, not really meant for combat, but it's just sort of the easiest way for me to make sure that we have everything, as opposed to just jumping all over the place myself. Okay. So anyway, Baron Chain is a bossy boy. He's in here as well. Wow. He's a little bit behind you. So you use 90 feet of movement. You use your cunning action, your full action, and your bonus to dash 90 feet. You are now, moving about 100-ish feet away from the actual statue. That is your full turn. You see Baron Chaina maintaining his spell of confusion. However, behind him are these 2 guards. He is going to move. He's going to move 60 feet. So he gets much closer. He's a little bit behind you. He's, of course, again, moving now to about 30 feet above you. It is now these guards who are going to move their 30 feet, which inches. They're now still further away, and they're now about 40 and 50 feet, respectively, from Baron Chaina and Cierre. However, they are going to cast, they're going to upcast, and they're going to cast 1 Scorcher at you and 1 at Cierre. So the first one, natural 24 for you, Cierre, hits. The second one at Baron Chaina, is a 17, which also hits. So it's going to be 5d6. The first one on you, holy shit, that's a lot of 5s. 10, 16. 16 plus 6. You take 22 points of fire damage.
Holy shit.
10, 15, Jesus. 15 and 4. 14 reduced to 7 on Baron Chaina. As Baron Chaina takes 7 points again. This fighter sort of and these things are igniting. I mean, these are like enormous torches, 120 feet, 5 feet across, that are just igniting the low light across the plaza of the Star Court. And as this is happening, I mean, you're not really sure the result, but like it is not insignificant. That happens.
Yep.
Baron Chaina will roll concentration as he is desperately and maintains his fly spell.
Cool.
These guys,
I maintain the Zephyr.
amazing, well done. These guys guards just took their full movement and their turn. However, behind it, I'm just going to roll, just because it's fun and I love the confusion spell. Let's see what happens. I will again just roll. We'll roll really just twice to see what happens. I'll cut it in half. I'll roll once for 4 and once for 4. So the first one is, they both are the same thing. They're both 2 to 6. The creature doesn't move or take actions this turn. You see this group just like, I mean, like, with your 120 feet, especially running across, it's almost laughable. They're moving to the edge of that, but they have just stopped and are kind of moved. One is having a knee. Several have their kind of arms around their ears, almost like they're trying to stop a ringing. None of them are functional or plugged in. Dude, I love confusion. I've tried to use it. It has never really worked on that level. I can't believe it like worked against me, but I'm all about it. I love Baron Chaina as well. He found success. So he found success in that moment. As you're trying to figure out what's next, it is your turn, and then it will be Baron Chaina after that. So what would you like to do, Cierre?
I'm gonna yell at Baron Chaina and can we see yet the kind of entrance back down into Drowland?
You can see, like, you know where it is. With 120 feet dark vision, no, but it is kind of low light, so there is visibility. You can see the outline of what you know to be that kind of low-slung stone wall with that kind of wrought iron top, the interior of which had been a very nice garden. It was within one of those buildings that there had been, like, a stock room that had led down.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just keep heading towards the fountain then, so I can do at least one round of hiding. And
Okay, cool.
Attack.
So you're moving 90 feet again?
Yep.
So it gets you pretty much to the fountain. You're now creating a little bit more distance, but he's moving 60 feet.
Yep.
You're now about 60 feet away from him. He's going to take his turn. Let's see if there's really anything he can do to be helpful, as he does have some more spell slots. He's going to go... And you know what?
I would do wanna, like, I don't know how much I get to co-pilot.
Oh, 100%,
Baron
1000%, 1000%.
I wanted to hold at least one second level spell for later.
Got it. Copy that.
Yeah.
So he will instead cast Charm Person on this guy that is now exactly 30 feet away. This guy will roll at disadvantage. And I believe, okay, yeah, natural 17 will do it. So that is an expended spell slot. He moves 30 feet away. He only moves 30 feet on this turn, so he's 60 feet away from you, Cierre. He's used one of his spell slots. That is going to be that. You essentially are now going to be at this area. They themselves are running out of spell slots and are going to attempt to cast Sleep on Baron Chaina.
Cool, bring it.
Only one of them has the spell slots for it. Ooh, 17 is not enough. Wow.
Especially because drow are immune to sleep, I believe.
Oh, shit! Crazy. They would know that.
Yeah, they don't even know he's drow necessarily.
Yeah, you're right, but do they know that? I think they more just sense it. They just know something's going on. Amazing. So it doesn't even like blip. The other one is going to attempt to roll to hit and miss with a 5. Fuck. You see another. This time it's like smaller. It doesn't necessitate a dex save, but 2 streaks from what you take to be some sort of lesser kind of offensive fire spell. You guys are now back near the center of this, Cierre. It's your turn. The people behind you are doing the same thing, which is absolutely nothing, except one group of this confused people have actually started to attack randomly. You see a group of 4 just like pull out their swords and just start slashing each other with the sabers. It's bad.
Yeah.
Let me see. At the end of its turn, it can make a wisdom saving throw. So I'm gonna throw one more time.
Yep.
To see. Dude, a 6, a 13, which is a failure, a 6, and another 6 for all 4. Wow.
What?
Okay, it's your turn, Cierre. You are at the fountain. You are about 500 feet away from the Temple of the Silver Stars, which is the area you need to get back down. That's also where the cache of explosive powder is located.
Okay. I'm just gonna yell at Bertana like, well, no, I'll wait for that. I'm gonna hide.
Okay.
Behind the fountain. So I can
Make a stealth check.
One sneak attack off of here. Ooh, what is that? I assume I have my hood up. I didn't actually state it, but I would.
You tell me. I think that's something that
Is
could
that
be...
a free action? Is that a free action? Putting the hood up?
Yeah, I think so. It's already there. I mean, it's so instantaneous. But especially in this situation where you've been running, you've been taking the dodge action, you've had plenty of opportunity. So we'll say the hood's up.
Okay.
Go ahead and
I
make
rolled
it.
the same thing anyways.
Oh, perfect.
19.
19, no problem. So they'll be used against the passive perception unless they make a perception check to see where you've gone.
Sure.
Are you getting in? Is that what you're like? Are you trying to sell it like you've gone beyond it, but you're trying to create a sight line?
Just trying to create a sight line so I can get off like an unexpected shot on one of them.
Cool. So you like
maybe get a little
sprint by,
sneaky.
and as soon as you do, you like drop and roll behind it. You army crawl back and just pop up prone, looking for like a visual, and find one. You sort of like crop. You're not considered technically prone. You get up sort of on a knee, but you're crouched beneath. You're almost shooting beneath one of the outcroppings of one of the crescent moon shapes that constitutes kind of the base that rises up of this fountain. As that happens, Baron Shayna knows your MO, is not really concerned. He's running this direction, but isn't really sure where to go. So he's going to use his full movement to sprint by, to use 60 feet, flying in the air. He's now 40 feet up. As that happens, you see these two knights in silver, sprinting your direction. One of them, the kind of younger, taller fellow, fuck, I'm running low. Almost got nothing left. I'm not really sure what to do. Barrett, I'm not really sure what to fucking do. You see him sort of extend a hand. And again, he's going to cast.
But on that fountain hide, I was gonna also try to attack because that hide was gonna be my bonus, and then use my action to attack.
Okay, copy.
Is that,
you can easily do that with a longbow, not a problem. Go for it. So
Okay.
which one would you like to hit, top or bottom?
The closest one.
Okay. They are the northern one would be a little bit closer. So go ahead and roll the hit.
Yep. Okay. Oh. Where did that go? That is a 13.
Misses.
I don't get advantage while I'm hidden, do I? Is that a thing? I don't know if that's
You
a
can
thing.
situationally. In this situation,
In
no,
this case,
because they're
we're in
like
the middle
chasing
of it.
after you with a specific point. You've never really left the 60-foot dark vision. You do have a sneak attack in the sense that they're not actively looking for you. However, whenever this arrow streaks out, it misses. Entirely.
It misses.
It's very fucking close. Head level. I mean, just over the shoulder. It's one of those where you're like, even if it misses, it'll get the neck or the chest near the heart, but it misses. And as it does, they sort of are aware that an arrow was shot from where the statue is. Whether or not they have an absolute visual on you, you're not really sure of.
All right. I'll
You
do
have a
my
second
extra attack.
Go for it.
And we'll see. Maybe they see me now. It's a little better. 17.
17 hits. I just rolled. I gave them free perception checks off of that to determine whether or not they beat your 19. They did not.
Absolutely.
So I will still give you sneak attack damage.
Okay.
As the second arrow fires out, you attack the northernmost one.
That's. Well, hold on. That doesn't count. 26, because neither of them have taken any damage, I believe.
Correct.
So that would just be 26.
Okay. So you hit Clint for 26 points of damage. Okay. So as that happens, you see them beneath it. You still have movement rather, if you like.
I think I have movement. Yeah. So I'll start moving 30 feet in the direction we need to go.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
like, this way, this way.
Okay, cool. So you move. You are still roughly, I mean, a little bit more than that, but still about 400 feet away from where you need to go. You roll over this direction. You see Baron Shayna. Now, you know, even with you, he's seen you fire and kind of leave that space. He turns back and at disadvantage is going to fire off two sort of... You've seen him do this before. Jesus Christ. First one misses. Second one... Yes, hits with a 17,
Wow.
even at disadvantage. As he hits, he hits Brent, the lower of the two. He is going to roll and do 4 points. Oh, excuse me. This level, it would be. Holy shit, he rolled really well. 13 points of what looks like. I mean, it is fire damage, but it looks almost like green, like light. It just like sunders, and as you see him like toss out, it's almost like the beam like hits 3 times, but does fire damage. He's going to take that 17 points of damage, and wow, what is that? 27. Okay, great. And that is going to be Baron Shayna's turn. It is now these two guys' turn. They are running out of spell slots. However, they still have some cantrips, and they're hanging on to some. They know that they cannot. They know that they cannot cast sleep on this guy. He's used his up level and his 1/3 level spell slot. However, Brent has not. So he's just fucking going for it. I need you to make a dexterity save, and I'm going to make one for Baron Shayna. Nice, he succeeds.
Ooh, natural 20.
Damn!
28.
You guys are really clutching out these rolls when necessary. One of the most classic in the book. There's this thin, almost like a grapefruit-sized lob. You see this hurling orb coalescing through this across this plaza courtyard. It lands in between the two of you guys before in a 40-foot radius, which catches Baron Shayna as he is 40 feet above. You have evasion, so you take no damage.
I don't have evasion.
You don't have...
Not yet. I have uncanny dodge, which is different.
Got it. And that actually doesn't count on this because this is a save and not an attack roll. Very well. You do, however, succeed, but you will take half damage. Baron Shayna also succeeds, and with his potion of resistance, we'll have that further reduced, which, by the way, I didn't reduce his last one, which I need to. Cool. Okay, got it. Okay, great. So I will now roll on this guy for this fireball spell. As you see him fill this space. However, both of you guys are just, the adrenaline is pumping. You're able to get out of the way. That is reduced to 9 points of fire damage to you, Cierre. Make a concentration, or actually the concentration check has ended. That spell has now ended.
Okay.
The spell of fly has also ended. Unfortunately, now, as you guys have taken 10 turns and moved from the initial time where you had engaged with Harry, the guy at the top of the lift, run all the way, had shit gone to hell, I will say that you do see now behind you, Baron Shayna start to descend, right? The aid of this flight spell waning. However, coming behind, like the direction of where these confused guards are still absolutely fucking about, you see Crusher.
Oh shit, Crusher caught up.
He's fucking bombing across. Part of it has been the fact that these other guys haven't been moving. Part of it is he has 10 more speed, so whenever he's dashing, that makes it 20. He's now about in this space. You see him sort of vault himself behind Brent. Silver scum! And drag into the back of this one knight in silver. Holy shit, natural 20. Let's fucking eat.
Yeah,
Crusher comes in and cleaves into the back with, again, this short sword that he's treating like a longsword, which has no effect other than, I guess, his confidence. He rolls a 4, double to 8, plus 4. So he takes 12 points of damage to Brent. Oh, wow. Brent takes another 12. Very good. He's not looking too hot. You see him reave back, and he's going to attack again on this motherfucker. He goes in. Natural 15. Let's go. Pierces into him. Short sword does, 1. That's 5, though. 5 points of damage for 10 to Brent. Who the fuck are you? You fucking... Yo! He clicked, did him! You see this guy like, oh shit, I didn't even know what he was... What was it? Did she fucking lie to us? He is sort of, takes both attacks from Crusher. It has been this one guard's attack. I am going to give, yeah, they have that going on. He's run past the people that are taking damage, but it is now your turn, Cierre. You can make another attack if you like. I would say that you'd have to go back to the fountain to try to hide again. However, for intents and purposes, Crusher is an ally.
Yeah. I'm going to just say, let's take this opportunity to make a break for it. Run.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll even help Baron Chain along if I can at all.
Okay.
I don't know.
You cannot help him move unless you have a spell like Long Strider or something that literally makes him move faster, or like a potion of speed.
No.
There's no way to really assist with that. It would slow your speed such that it would neutralize it. If he was incapable of movement, you might be able to reduce yourself to half speed, treat it like a grapple, that kind of thing. But right now he's moving slow because he's exhausted. There's not really a way to do that. If you try to pick him up because of your frame, there's not really an option.
Okay.
These guys just...
So we're gonna hobble along.
Okay, so you guys have essentially 30 feet of movement. If you're moving, you're still now about,
I'll keep taking the dodge action.
Cool. So you guys start dodging. We'll say for intents and purposes, 3 things happen. I need you to make 1 longbow attack. Crusher is going to make 2 attacks, and I'm going to give both Baron Chaina and the Knights in Silver a chance to maintain their attack. They're both very low on health. And the other guy, the main sort of guard in this space, have been either confused or killed. Crazy.
Craziness.
So,
I got natural 20 on my longbow.
Wow. Okay. So who are you attacking with that? The southern one is engaged by Crusher. The other one is not.
Whichever one's engaged by Crusher, if I think that'll give me some extra sneaks.
Okay. Fire it up. For fairness, though, however, it is their...
Yes.
I'm giving them this turn first to see whether or not they live. Shit. He used a fireball last time. One of them has a 2nd level. One of them has a 1st level. So he is going to cast Ice Knife, and he is going to fling it at you, Cierre. Fuck, that's a natural one. You see him just grab this blade, this dagger. It sort of gathers before he shoots it forth. Except he's held on too long. The cold has melded with his fingertips. As he sort of grabs it, there's just this burst. He doesn't take any damage, but it just it just bursts onto the ground. What would have been a potentially dangerous and effectual spell wasted onto the stone in front of him. Holy shit! So that's gonna be his turn. The other one is going to use Inflict Wounds, and shit. Roll very poorly for an 11, which does not hit Crusher. You see him reach out, and Crusher just bashes this attack away. However, they both... No, those are both spells, so that's all they can do on their turn. Okay, so who are you hitting with that? You're hitting the southern one. That's Brent. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Yep. Yeah, so I rolled the dice and doubled it before I add my mods.
Okay, yes.
So I'm at 34.
That is more than enough, my friend. You just put this through an area of the neck. You just use quill pushing him. As this sort of cuts through. I like that. That is a good way to help with this. You see Crusher kind of catch him, use this arrow to kind of wedge it almost through, and then start to take his own short sword and drive it down the mouth. Down sort of the gullet of this Knight in Silver. He is lifeless. Brent to the south is lifeless and is currently being treated like a war trophy by Crusher. He is going to take 1 attack before he uses his action to see if he can just bash this guy. Natural 10. He is proficient with it, so it does hit. So that is going to be... I don't know if it will be enough. 3, 7. It is not. He does one to Brent. See what will become of you. And he is going to just wrench through. Fuck yeah, with a 19 total. Whips back, and you see the snapping as this thing almost buckles, like splitting, like cutting through the esophagus, but more snapping through, like a chef would weaken the bones of a chicken before wrenching them apart. He begins to almost have this like elongated like Joker face that sort of spills out and over. It's macabre and absolutely gruesome. He turns, bloody, his attention now to Clint, to the north. You have taken your one attack. I'll give you a second attack if you'd like before we get to Baronchena, if you'd like, Cierre.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Ooh. That's a 17?
17 hits.
Cool.
I can't believe these guys are still confused. You have about 2 turns left on this confusion, just heads up.
Cool. And this dude has taken damage already, I assume. Cool.
Yes.
Although, you know what? I would have added... No, I don't get to use that again. I would have added that to the other guy. So,
copy
10,
that.
11, 12... 12 points of damage.
Okay. Wow. 27. Wait. He had exactly 12. He had 18. No. He had 11, actually. He had 18 before, took 7, and now takes 12. So as you're just pulling it back, you level on Clint as well. And this one, he's like starting to backpedal. You catch him flushed. Fuck me! Lifeless and fallen behind. I mean, it is a bad time to be a knight in silver. But a good time to be us, he says, breaking the fourth wall. As Crusher sort of steps over this area, he's about 40 feet from you guys and is using his movement. You guys are in total about 180 feet away, but you have 2 rounds before this confusion ends. However, they are about 800 feet away from you. So, for intents and purposes...
I'll ask Crusher to carry Baronchena.
Okay.
If I could.
Very well.
If they both go with it.
They go with it. We'll say that he literally picks him up, and because he's not resisting, and because he has a strength of 17 or above, I will say it's not a problem. Draws aren't that big. You guys are moving quick. I mean, it's definitely a blow to Baronchena's pride, but he doesn't really give a shit. I preferred to fly, but if we must... so he sort of hops in. You see him... oh, that's the wrong one. Sort of grab you guys. You guys are sort of thudding through this area. I mean, it is the dead of night. As you sort of step through into the fragrant courtyard of this, honestly, like, beautiful garden that sits outside the Temple of the Sacred Stars. You can see several candles lit within what is now the southernmost chapel. And beyond that, what is this sort of like storage room warehouse. You see no one moving.
Right.
You do across...
And that's where I exited from originally, that storage warehouse? Is that right?
Correct. That's exactly where you came out of. That's where there are steps leading down that had been excavated and cleared.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So we're still outside. We haven't made it into the warehouse.
Yes. And for intents and purposes, we're not in initiative, so to speak.
Okay.
You do know that, I mean, in between 700 and 800 feet from you are an entire sort of phalanx of the High Guard, Blade Singers, that honestly had a very poor showing and are probably going to lose their jobs. But they're completely different in terms of, like, they are now back. You hear the clatter of sort of organized shouts and what appears like, confusion at what has happened, but now a summoning of wits. And as that's sort of happening, the spell is no more. We should go. Is this how you came up?
This is it, right this way. And I'll just head that direction.
Okay.
Trying to perceive any, because there were, if I remember correctly, there were 2 guards still dealing with the barrels. But that was down some steps.
Correct.
I think. So, in theory, I'm about to open the door and put the top of those steps. Is that right?
You are essentially about to open into like a large sort of like storeroom space.
Okay.
That is...
But not the storeroom with the barrels.
Correct. That is down a set of steps into another kind of larger, almost like a cellar. But as you open, like you know that there were people that were basically at the top of where the barrels were.
We're at the top of where the barrels were.
Yeah. So you more or less are in like an auxiliary room in this kind of temple space, in this kind of protected courtyard. There is the actual temple, saloon, the Temple of the Sacred Stars. You saw it before. It's like very narrow and beautiful, but it's like a really well-made chapel, tons of stained glass, similar kind of like tall spires with crescents, adornment meant to look like astral bodies in movement and in flight. You know that you have, probably like a minute, maybe more than that, maybe 2, depending how long it takes them to run and if they're confused as to where you went. In terms of the people behind you, you're also leaving, near the fountain, the bodies of 2 knights in silver. In that area, are you entering this sort of kind of warehouse space, this sort of like, open area that to be like, they have, gardening tools, stuff that is clearly meant as like a storage shed designed to be used for the garden itself. There is this sort of kind of large hatch that is open and pushed back, and beyond that descend steps about 20-30 feet that go down into this cellar space that to be 40 by 40 that contains an enormous cache of barrels, and that that beyond that leads to an ancient set of dwarven steps that connects with the Underdark.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna enter the warehouse portion, heading for that hatch. I don't see anyone though, right? I'm gonna be stealthy.
Make a stealth check.
I'm gonna have these guys stay like 40 feet behind me.
Okay.
Just kind of out of sight, hopefully.
So you guys enter into this kind of courtyard space.
Yep.
You bring them to maybe where this is, and they sort of stay down, kind of hunkering behind some of the very well manicured and sort of landscaped garden spaces. You then approach about, let's say, 30 feet to kind of the area outside the shed. You know that there will be guards, so there were guards previously.
Yeah. I got a 16 on the stealth.
Cool.
And then I'm looking for the guards.
Okay, cool. So you move into the frame. With that 16, you essentially see where this almost like kind of like pitched fire had been. See no fire, see no guard. You do see this, same space. There's hose, there's rakes, there's shovels, there's troves, there's whatnot. There's tons of bags you assume are either like planting soil or like designer rock, like stuff they've used for the actual kind of landscaping. But you see no guards present with that resting perception.
Yeah.
Make a perception check if you'd like.
That is a 14.
14, cool. So you can hear what sounds like sort of the knock of steps, and it takes you a moment. Someone is walking up the steps from the lower kind of cellar that had been excavated into this kind of, larger kind of shed space.
Okay. I'm going to exit back out and tell my team to hide around the corner of this warehouse.
Sure. They do so.
They're leaving.
You see them kind of in but as this is like, what? Let me help you.
There's at least 2 guards down there, and they're coming this way. I think they're about to leave for the day. I think we should wait and just let them pass.
Okay, fine. You see, he's sort of not really sure what to do. You almost have to like grab Crusher, who's like enormous. He's adroit enough. Like both of them made stealth checks that were honestly like surprisingly decent. He got a 16. Baron Chan got a 14. But as you move around, you see one of these guards in that sort of Knights in Silver half plate. You recognize it is the same one that had greeted you whenever you came up, who's talking about the Inquisitor and talking to you about the Star Quartz. You don't know if the other guard simply left or is perhaps down where the barrels were. He does not see you.
Cool. Is he still continuing to make his way? Is he just kind of pittering about?
No, he kind of turns
he, like,
back and
leaving,
heads to the area where the fire was. Appears to be like moving around where there were some like bags, like some knapsacks. This entire area again looks like a pretty like organized but full garden. And then there are areas where it's as if these guards have like set up camp, as if they have like moved in and treated this like a base because of this access point found connecting this temple with the Underdark. It's like the Knights in Silver have kind of come in like cops would after a crime scene and kind of set up a perimeter. He appears to be looking for something.
Okay. So he's not leaving. So I'm going to tell these guys, all right, he's not leaving, so we're just going to take him down silently, quick and silent. follow my lead.
Okay.
And I will cast silence right where this dude is.
Amazing. Okay, so 40-foot diameter?
There's a 20-foot radius, so yep, 40-foot diameter.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that would be more than enough. That essentially stretches beyond this room. The cellar is just about as large as the room itself. In the area above it, as you sort of look down, you see him kind of like react to the fact that there's no sound. Like he was moving stuff around. It was like just like a little bit of Foley noise within the room.
Yeah.
But his back is turned to you. This would be a sneak attack if you'd like. But he is essentially... Go for it. As that happens, you see, with disadvantage, Baron Chaina streak his hand forward. Damn, that's bad.
I got 27 on my longbow.
27 hits.
Cool. That's a sneak attack. Let's go. 20 plus 2, 22. Yeah, 22 total on this guy.
Okay.
So the first attack.
So... it hits. And it was a total of 22?
Yeah.
As that happens... the fucking hell! You see him turn around when... there's this streak of, again, that almost like, you know, like glowing kind of energy that just sunders. It's almost like this glowing green fire shoots out from Baron Chaina, but misses. And as that happens, you see thrown and piercing into kind of the shoulder is this short sword.
Wow.
Damn. Okay, so 7, you did 22?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Leaving this guy with 3 points. He had 32 points. Leaving this guy with 3 points total of damage.
Well, I do have a second attack.
Oh my god. Go for it.
Throw that at him.
He did have a... Dude, that's hilarious. Not even going to say what I was going to say. Not even going to say it. Matt, you foiled me again. You beautiful man. Yeah, what'd you get?
Well, with some help from my friends. 28 on the longbow.
28 absolutely hits.
So plus the modifier, it's going to be more than 3.
Yes, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. It's enough. As this sort of happens, you quill, just sort of porcupining enough. The grouping is so intense for you. You're like, he's dead. Especially your understanding of sneak attacks, how vitals work. Before the confusion has even moved from confusion to pain, much less understanding, you see him slumping down, gasping for breath and beginning to lose consciousness. He out. You see Crusher essentially roll over and be like, the only way you can trust a knight in silver is to claim his pulse. You see him again begin to move through this tearing of skull move.
I'm just going to say, wait 1 moment. And I'm going to try and search the body first for one of those tokens.
Go for it. Make an investigation check.
Investigation at the 12.
Gotcha. So you move through. You do see tons of sort of like engravings and adornments on this half plate. Just from seeing the variants and being up close to some, this is now like this 8th, 9th time you've really come close quarters with a member of either the Knights in Silver or the High Guard over the past several weeks. As you do, you can see that there's almost like specific rune work in some areas, almost like it's a demarcation of rank, perhaps, or status. Unclear. You don't see anything that's detachable. As you sort of move around, you do find what appears to be like a components pouch. You judge from some of the things that are contained within. One of those does appear to be a kind of crudely fashioned, almost like a chess piece that does have a leather cord around it. It looks almost like well, it looks exactly like the bust of a unicorn, which you of course associate with Maliki. Beyond that, you find 7 gold and 12 silver.
I'm gonna just rip off the component pouch and throw it to my love,
Sure.
Baron, like, if you can make use of this.
He
moving
immediately
forward.
begins raking through it. And as that happens, you see Crusher kind of look back, and you all can hear. I mean, he doesn't have the highest passive perception. Baron Chain is pretty solid. Yours is unnatural. But as you sort of doing this, having this moment, you hear the patter of footsteps and the crying from this plaza.
So it's coming from the plaza.
100%.
Okay. And I say, let us go. Let us proceed forward. There might be one more. I'll go first. And
Okay.
check. And now we're going down these steps. How wide are these? How wide is this?
They're quite narrow. They're about 5 feet wide. It's I mean, it can be kind of double doored. Crusher kind of comes behind you. As you go through, make another perception check.
Uh, 19.
You're creeping down a little bit ahead, asking for some space. As you sort of move through, you hear nothing. And you go down just far enough to kind of create a sight line, right? It only goes down about 15 feet. No, that's not true. It goes down about 20 feet, but as you go about halfway down, you can still like crouch and see. As you're sort of going into this space, you just see barrels.
The barrels. The barrels.
There is at the far
Okay.
end of that the kind of archway that had been this, kind of rudimentary kind of, 3-piece wooden frame that had contained a wider stair step, much more different and much more ancient in its construction, that led to the Underdark. This, however, appears to be the 40 by 40 storage space that is beneath this kind of, more or less garden area, and contains roughly 80 barrels of explosive powder. But I will say, as that's happening, Cierre,
Yeah.
and as you're perhaps pulling forth this glowing red circular disc, this sort of explosive remote component,
Yep.
perhaps looking where within this space to leave it, to then communicate to Umbridge that the deed is done and descend quickly into the darkness. And we'll call it there before we get into any more trouble, only because I know we have a hard out at 3:30.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Oh, man.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
So wild. I was game playing this
That
and
was
I was
crazy.
like, I don't know. I really honestly
Yeah.
was like, you might end up in prison along with Baron Chaina,
Sure.
which I'd be onto and into as well. Maddie, you are such a prince, dude. Thank you so much.
This was another blast.
Thank you so much.
What a wild ride.
I mean, seriously, that's exactly what I mean. Like, it is so much fun to play with you, man. It's so much fun to kick it. Everybody that rolled through, guys, really appreciate it. Fuzka, Root, Gervant, you guys are legends. Anybody that popped in, left, obviously do your thing. We love doing these things. I'm not sure when the next time that we will be bringing back Cierre and this drow specifically, but Matt, you are such a joy. I know we will be sooner than later, and I hope my party is terrified by the fact that that you've successfully run this recon mission. Not only, I mean, not only like dropping off this remote charge, but also freeing the apprentice Hellmage from the capture of the Inquisitor of the Silver Guard. So,
And Crusher the Invincible.
yeah, Crusher was, as every DM will assure you, an absolute afterthought. I knew that I just wanted to color this dungeon, right? I wanted to give you opportunities to solve the puzzle multiple ways. I thought that this might come up, but I thought just as equally, if you fail the persuasion check, he could potentially be, a problem for you. But you nailed it like always, man.
Surprised he lasted this long.
Yeah.
He's a strong boy.
He was, yeah, exactly. Well, that short rest helped him. Like, if not, he would have been absolutely fine. He also hasn't been being tortured, so he isn't suffering levels of exhaustion, which is helpful.
Right. It was his turn next. Happy to interrupt.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, Maddie, I love
Dude,
you.
yeah.
All you guys at home. We normally do a raid to end the session, but I have to hop on something immediately at 3:30. So I love you guys. We'll be back this Wednesday with a Between Two DMs episode, and I can't fucking wait for it. So we'll see you then.
Nice.